Katt and Terrence Howard just exposed how the industry's young women and uses black men to further their narrative. Diddy, Harvey Weinstein, and even Jeffrey Epstein were just pawns. The real masterminds use fame and money to trap and manipulate young artists. Forcing men to sacrifice their man card and women to lose their integrity is just one part of what happens behind the scenes in Hollywood. That's my point. You can't be so happy to change your life. You know how many celebrities went to Denny's house thinking they was going to dance? How does that feel? You a grown-ass man. You got a lean did party like that. You can't even sit down in the car. You got to drive all the way home standing up. Can't roll the window down. You roll the window down and that breeze hit that open and start blowing and ships start. Terrence Howard is an Oscar-nominated actor and he saw firsthand how the industry functions. The private meetings, the one-on-one auditions in hotel rooms, he saw it all and decided to step away. The casting couch culture in Hollywood is much more widespread than any celebrity would ever admit. And Diddy's arrest proved it. During the FBI raid on his Miami mansion, the Department of Justice recovered hundreds of hours of video footage and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil. These videos showed exactly what Hollywood had been trying to hide for years. Some of the biggest artists in the industry were caught on tape being forced to be intimate with film and music executives. These executives labeled these relationships as consensual, and these acts as nothing more than a special favor. But Terrence revealed what was really happening. In an interview with Patrick Bet-David, Terrence Howard revealed the real reason he had been blackballed by the industry. Terrence exposed Diddy for who he really was. Someone was using his status and connections in the industry to force young stars into doing what he wanted. Terrence even named the victims and the consequences they had to face if they said no. And then Terrence said out loud what no one was expecting him to say. Losing out money. You gotta take drugs. You're going through so much to try and deal with life. You are, literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far. You know, who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what Heath had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it and they gotta keep getting high hoping to get it out of their head, you know? But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card. What is that? What do you mean by that? You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it. A man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back. Are you saying what I think you're saying? No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything. For fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card, right? You lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and being the do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing, got punked out and pimped out by some over greater desire. You should have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid, and next thing you know, once go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card no matter what. This is where the story takes an even darker turn. The real reason Terrence Howard left the entertainment industry and was blackballed wasn't because of his behavior or his acting abilities. Put simply, Terrence Howard was blackballed because he refused to give up his integrity. Diddy invited Terrence Howard over for dinner and let him know that he was sex interested in him after listening to his music. Did he waited until he had heard Terrence Howard play to let him know that if he wanted to succeed in the music industry, he was expected to do certain things? Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and he said no to it? Hell yeah. What was the consequences when he said no? Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, he wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you. That's what my assistant said. I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now, to be hands-off with somebody, a number of producers coming to make the approach and you threaten to punch them in the mouth or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So, always be the man in the room. And that's always been my whole thing, and have lost businesses because I don't bend over in that way. I don't compromise. I don't play gay roles. I don't kiss a man. I don't do that because the man card means everything. This was all part of Diddy's usual playbook. And it's the same story that countless other aspiring actors and models mentioned in their lawsuits against Diddy. Music executives would invite these young artists for a private audition in their hotel room, and then these artists were told that if they didn't say yes to whatever the director wanted, their career would be destroyed. Harvey Weinstein's arrest started the rumors that this was happening, and now the tapes the FBI found at Diddy's house prove it. Justin Bieber, Usher, Aaron Carter. Some of the biggest names in the industry were all abused children, and the one factor connecting them all is Diddy. Puffy's flavor camp, as Diddy called it, consisted of these child performers being handed over to music executives in exchange for a promise of fame and money. The worst part is that in most cases, the parents knew exactly what was happening, but they refused to do anything. As we peel back the layers of Justin Bieber's self-destructive behavior, you'll see that everything that Terrence was saying was true. Terrence revealed that the people who say yes to these deals and give up their integrity can never get out of their heads. What's the point of success if you have to give up your integrity and self-respect to achieve it? According to Terrence, people like Justin Bieber and Usher are suffering mentally and take drugs to drown the memories of their abuse. Struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that. They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. The women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process, I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place. What benefit is that? If I lose my integrity, you got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in no matter what. Katt Williams said the same thing. He's been saying it for years. Even back in 2017, almost a decade before anything related to Diddy came out, Katt Williams went on record and said that you have to sell your soul and integrity if you want to succeed in Hollywood. Katt even pointed out a suspicious pattern of black celebrities suddenly getting famous after they agree to put on a dress. According to Katt, these men gave up their man cards and took part in a humiliation ritual designed to make black men look bad. Katt even pointed out Kevin Hart. After Kevin Hart started wearing dresses and acting feminine in his movies, his career took off. Let's be very, very clear. It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a guy in a dress. And if that's the case, then it might also be said that there's nothing funnier than a black guy in a dress. Okay, well, I watched all of my friends throughout my entire life be able to dunk a basketball, but not me. So everybody can't do everything. So, some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we had Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3. I've never seen Media in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying why we picking old boy little Kevin Hart, because it was his turn next. Katt was offered the same choice as Kevin Hart, and he said no. Katt refused to dress up as a woman and chose to respect himself instead. Just like Terrence Howard's career after Katt said no to what the industry wanted him to do, he was blackballed. Katt was labeled as difficult to work with, and the police were called on him multiple times. According to Katt, the industry was retaliating. They wanted to make an example out of him. The tapes found at Diddy's house showed how Diddy was controlling the artists working for him. This was blackmail material. Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment. When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them and nobody likes them. End quote. We all love Dave Chappelle. Exactly. Dave Chappelle has never been a part of the Illuminati. They don't want him or me or people like us. But now it's not necessary for us to store up that hornet's nest unless we intend to get stung a million times. I didn't understand that they had to sting me a million times. I'm still not going to join, but I that hung around Diddy and claimed that they didn't know what was going on behind the scenes are lying. Katt never went to any of Diddy's parties, but he still knew what was going on. Mother be gay in Hollywood. You never expected. They be having these big-ass mansion parties. And the mansion party? The whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited in a mother to be at the micro party. You be looking at all the goddamn rooms and you around and look in a raw room and... Come here, come here. Is that two Dorang kissing? Is one of them Professor Obi? Katt couldn't name Diddy outright because he knew that Diddy would come after him and his kids. Just days after Terrence Howard spoke out against Diddy and revealed to the world what Diddy was doing behind closed doors, the industry started coming after him. Terrence even posted a video on his X account revealing that someone was trying to attack him and his reputation. Terrence was labeled as a liar. Allegedly, Terrence Howard had even received threats over the names he revealed. Listen, before y'all talk about me, y'all need to talk to me. You see, once upon a time, if a man questioned another man's honor, he didn't do it from the shadows. He had to do it out in the open with his name, his chest out, and his chin high, not hiding behind the keyboard or tucked behind editing clips of fair use disclaimers. You see, citing Section 107 of the Copyright Act does not give you free rein to defame, misrepresent, or harm others' reputation. Fair use is not a shield for character assassination. So, here's the simple truth. If you take my words, my image, my ideas, and twist them to feed your fear and inflate your ego. If you profit off of my name while calling me a liar, then be prepared to stand behind your accusations. Because in the old world, men didn't hide behind anything when they spoke against someone. They had to speak it with their whole being. And if you're going to speak against me, then use the same courage that it took for me to say those truths. Man to man, eye to eye, in integrity and in truth. I've spent a lifetime earning the right to speak with the conviction about these truths that I speak. So if you want to tear that down, have the decency to come and say it directly to my face and say it like a man. Katt Williams also pointed out something else people never seem to notice. He said there are public figures who project one image but somehow never seem to run into legal trouble, even while speaking as if they live the opposite kind of life. Diddy acted gangster all his life, but he was never arrested. Diddy was literally confessing to his crimes on Lev TV. Why is that? Katt gets arrested multiple times despite being innocent. But someone like Diddy, who everyone knew was involved in the murder of Tupac and Biggie, is never even questioned. According to Katt, this contrast alone should make people stop and think you had a lot of last year. You seemed like you had a lot of predictions last year. You kind of became this oracle last year. Did you feel that people came to you? You almost became kind of like this, like a little bit of like a crystal ball, you know? Okay. I'm honored to get to say the things that I say when I'm saying them. And, because you know that I operate from a positive first standpoint in all things, like, I assume that it's going to work out for the best, and I, understand that if it is for the worst, then I'm prepared to handle that as well. But, yeah, it was something, the industry never goes after one of their own. Everyone knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing. There were multiple women testifying against him, but at the same time, no major celebrity said anything. They continued to meet and hang out with him right until his conviction. After that, everyone started calling him a criminal. Katt's question is simple. These celebrities knew what Harvey Weinstein and Diddy were doing from the start. So why did they wait so long to say something? The idea that there are predators in power, not just in Hollywood, I think in all across any place there's a boss with underlings in any corporation or any industry, You have a type of politics that goes on that can slide in between appropriate ethics and decorum to, inappropriate behavior to the point of harassment and predatory behavior. Well, I mean, I think people understand that. But the larger question is there a culture of complicity in Hollywood where women are afraid to speak up because they'll be blacklisted? Men are afraid to speak up because either they're out of the same fear or they just think, well, this is the way the system works. I think there are people that say, hey, this is how it works, pure and simple, and this is why I got into it, and this is why I have power. This is how it works, and you have to understand that that does not carry the day. Conflict complicity is also complicity. The people who know well, look, this is how we do business, and that's what it's got to be done. I'm sorry. It's like that. So beware. That's also present without a doubt. But it does not carry the day. These celebrities are being controlled sometimes through fame and sometimes through money. The one person that Katt Williams respects in the entertainment industry is Dave Chappelle, and that's because Dave said no to money. Dave Chappelle was offered $100 million, but he said no. Oprah even asked him if he was crazy for not taking the money. But Dave told her that he knew that money would then be used to control him. After Dave said no, Oprah made fun of him. At the time, no one but Katt realized why Dave was doing this. But now everything is becoming clear. It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories, of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me. Okay. When you say you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories? I mean, you see before, look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Mar Lawrence punches through when he's waving a gun on the street, screaming, they're trying to, yeah. We hear those stories, and it always happens around a time in their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau. Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind? Sort of. No, not exactly. Okay. I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful. Yeah. And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress. Comedian Dave Chappelle left tens of millions of dollars on the table when he walked away from his popular Comedy Central show. A lot of people wondered what the hell was he thinking. That's a quote Chappelle says he had, or whether he was thinking. A lot of people ask that question. Chappelle says he had a crisis of conscience and stood up for his integrity as an artist. He explained to us how stepping out of the spotlight helped him avoid getting caught in a trap. It's so much bigger than money, though. Dave, it's so much bigger than money. Oh no. It was bigger than money. But you know what? I watched one of these nature shows one time, and they were talking about how a bushman finds water when it's scarce. And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently, baboons love salt. Okay, so they put a lump of salt in a hole, and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Now, if he's smart, all he does is let go with the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty. The bushman lets him out the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water. Bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. And in that analogy, I felt like the baboon, but I was smart enough to let go of the salt. And it's not just Terrence Howard who said no to Diddy's Wally-Wall advances. Diddy actually approached his biggest rival 50 Cent with this offer. First, he told 50 Cent that he wanted to take him out on a date shopping. Now, at this time, Diddy and Bad Boy Entertainment were some of the biggest names in entertainment. And what Diddy was really trying to tell 50 Cent was that if you say yes to a relationship with me, I'll take care of your career. This is when 50 Cent realized that everyone working for Diddy had been compromised. Netflix docu-series that you've been working on, Diddy Do It, right? You've been saying for years that you feel you knew Diddy's character, right? Yet you said you weren't a part of that lifestyle. You weren't going to the party. So what makes you so absolutely sure that these kinds of allegations that we've seen against him are true? Well, I'm surprised by the allegations, as surprised as everyone else is. Like, I didn't make the allegations. I didn't tell people to say these things. It comes out. I see it in the news like everyone else. But I did feel uncomfortable with the way you would present the idea of going to these projects to come party with me. Yeah. And then that swayed me away from it, just that alone. So you didn't realize that as much stuff was coming, like when I see today it was allegations of 3 men that said he drugged them, and it's a long time, to be honest with you, like when people don't remember being violated for 20 years. It makes me feel a little hard. What are your thoughts on the allegations against Jay-Z? That was interesting. I didn't when I was saying things not knowing exactly what I was saying. I was going, where's Jay at? He's mad quiet, like while the puppy thing was going on. But it's obvious now that his team was being made aware that he was in those allegations also, you know? So I hope it works out, because with his family, that things that go on internally is that those accusations are crazy. Thanks to Dave Chappelle, Katt Williams, and Terrence Howard, people in the industry are slowly starting to wake up and stand up to the blackmail. Lord Jamar recently spoke out about the inner workings of the music industry and said that while it might look like that every music label is separate, they're actually all working together like the heads of a crime family. I believe there's people behind the scenes that are homosexuals that are pushing buttons. Yes, and that they want you to be down with there in order to push the button for you. Absolutely. And this is part of it. You just saw one of the gay mafia members. That's who he is. That's who Puffy is. He's one of the members of the mob. He's a mafia member. But he might not be Don Carl. He's not the Godfather. You see, he's not the Godfather. He's one of the heads of the families. You see, we have different families in this thing. We got Bad Boy. We got what do we have? Death Row over here. We have the different fan. We got Arista Records and Lefis, and these are the families and the mafia. You dig? Those record companies are like families. The difference between Katt and the rest of the comedians in the entertainment industry is that Katt understands the consequences of what he's doing. He saw the industry for what it really is. He saw how one powerful figure gets squeezed to pressure everyone else in the circle. That's not just a joke anymore. That's a confession wrapped in comedy. And it's not just about baby oil. It's about how normal gets weaponized, how innocence becomes a cover, and how the game plays you while you think you're just networking. Because these aren't just eccentric habits or isolated events. They're rituals, patterns. And the moment you start seeing them, you can't unsee them. I'm in the production business. I understand what is worth doing for ratings. I understand what is worth doing when the industry is canceling one black guy. I know what happens when they are going to elevate another. And I know what happens when they don't care about either of them. This is how a quarterback can go. So the question is, hey, your quarterback just got sacked. Did we know we was spent to sack your quarterback? We absolutely did. It was a play, buddy. We've been rehearsing it, working it out, making sure that at some point when you get to this level, we can make sure we knock you from a 20 million man to putting in the news that people won't hire you no more and your career is done. Yeah. So you can do all of that. Are you saying I'm saying that everything that I'm saying, that everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend that seems like a setup? Is everything happens in a business? Everything that happens in a business that's based off of pretend that seems like a setup is yes. So what do you think is Katt right about the industry? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next, because the truth is finally cracking through the surface.